Welcome to the Architecting and Stilettos podcast. If you know us, you know us. And if you don't, hello. I'm Arlene Ajurian, joined by Katie Flores.
Hello.
Here at AMK Studio, an architecture and planning firm in sunny SoCal. We typically get invited by developers, entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and luxury home builders who are struggling with the big three: maximizing site value and profits, obtaining approvals, and creating the ideal solution that will best achieve their goals. When the final design is as buildable as it is green, creative, and joyful, that's the win-win we're looking for. This podcast is about how we get there. We share stories, focus on real-world, behind-the-scenes challenges, and candid discussions, all while playing well with others. In episode 9, we talked about the housing laws reshaping California and the bigger question of where growth could go. Today, we're stepping into what happens when one of those laws, SB79, lands right at your doorstep, possibly in the form of a 9-story apartment building next to a single-family home. Maybe mine. This one gets personal because both Katie and I are homeowners in neighborhoods that could be directly impacted. So on Architecting and Stilettos today, we're unpacking what SB 79 really means, not just as architects or potential developers, but as people who live here too. We're not here to panic or preach. Maybe I could rant a little, but we're here to talk honestly about density, design, and how neighborhoods adapt when the rules change. So let's dive in. Katie,
Arlene.
next episode, are we ready?
Oh my gosh. So much excitement.
I have so much fire for this one. I cannot tell you. I have not slept, honestly, because this one's really been. This one has been very provocative from the moment I heard about it. In terms of, it's been infuriating. So here's the context. I actually am a homeowner, and I live in a place that is within half a mile of
major transit.
Yeah, and it's not major transit except for one thing. So we're talking today about, just back up 10 steps, Arlene. We are talking about SB 79 today.
Yep.
SB 79 and AB 253.
Yep.
So both of these were just signed into law.
Within a few days. Yep.
Within a few days. They were up and coming. They were passed by the Assembly and Senate for a while.
People were talking about it.
People were talking about it. And in SB 79's case, this is the fourth time that it had been up for vote through California governance, and this time it passed. It sneaked through, but it passed.
Yes.
So SB 79, what is it, and why am I so infuriated as a homeowner? SB 79 has now made it by right for up to a 7 or 9, well, it's actually within a quarter of a mile of what qualifies as public transit, and I'll talk about that. You are allowed to build a 9-story apartment building. Up to a half a mile of public transit, major. It's actually a transit-oriented corridor, right? And that really is, what is that? That is Metro, BART, subway, light rail. And in case of bus service, it is actually where it's prioritized. You've got a designated lane for that bus. Yeah. It is high frequency stops.
Exactly.
So it's not your local little bus stop in most cases.
It needs to be the high frequency bus.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
So in my area, and I happen to live in Glendale, even though I work in Orange County, and I work in between all of these counties and love it all. The reality is that this city and the jurisdiction proposed a high transit corridor within half a mile of my home, and they were trying to connect North Hollywood to Pasadena. They didn't really go into description of why they were doing it at the time.
Who knows?
And
who needs to go?
Slowly, I'm like, we're connecting North Hollywood to Pasadena.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
Some bus service, no problem. Not really an issue. And then it became something of, we're going to dedicate one of 3 lanes to just the bus service. And I'm like, why?
That seems
why
backwards.
Why can't we have a bus that just weaves in and out of traffic?
Yeah, well, and in the process, that means you're taking away a lane of traffic for normal people. So
a lot of whys.
Yeah.
Until I realized what SB 79 does.
So SB79 qualifies that transit service, high transit corridor, as the pre-qualifier for having
these 7-story
really high density. And in the case of where I live, and others as well, I'm going to refer to Costa Mesa, areas of Irvine, many areas. There will be in a 7 or 9-story apartment building right next to a 1-story home.
Right. I mean, these older neighborhoods are predominantly 1-story homes. I mean, they really are. It's not, it's, especially up here in the valley. I mean, it's not the same as whatever. It's not the same as Newport Beach or Irvine. Nope. It's these older neighborhoods with the garage in the back. It's a nice size lot, a little bungalow. So, I mean, many of these homes are very small scale on good sized lots.
Right.
And it's crazy. I mean, it's just ridiculous to think of a 7-story. I mean, that is going to feel like a high rise towering over these neighborhoods if one of them gets built.
I mean, I agree with you, and to go through this and describe the level of disruption, I want to say gutting the neighborhood. It's going to gut a neighborhood. Just one of these.
Yeah.
If I have a 9-story apartment building, even across the street, or 1 block down, that changes the flavor of the neighborhood immediately.
Especially when we're talking about the parking. I mean, all the other stuff that goes into that. I mean, if you're
is parking required by SB79?
No. So you're taking advantage of those credits, right? Where you're like, it's a major transit. Nobody needs to park here. So now I've got, 200 units. How many units are going to go in that building of people with no parking? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it reminds me of that children's book, The Little House. You remember with the little house and all the city kids around it? Like, it hurts, the little sad house.
Yes.
So it's crazy.
I'm pretty sure there was a Disney movie on it too. Exactly. The guy with the balloons that's floating in the air. What was that one?
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
So, okay, this fury comes from a standpoint of being a homeowner.
Right.
And there's ways to empower, as an architect.
Yes.
There are ways to empower homeowners who find themselves in this circumstance.
Right.
I will broach that, but just going back to my rant really quick.
I think AB 253 is part of, I don't want to say the solution, but in contrast to 79, AB 253
could be the checks and balances.
Could be part of the checks and balances because it does require that the infrastructure be in place to accommodate said development.
Right. So just going back to SB79, when we talk about local control, there are going to be nuances of local control that are still kind of allowed.
Right.
It's up to the city, for example, whether or not they want to approve what the state is telling you in terms of the zoning for upzoning this specific area.
Yeah.
Or whether or not the city can still prove that they're going to provide the same amount of housing as they would have here
somewhere else
by spreading it around somewhere else in the city.
Right.
Whether or not that's going to happen is a big question mark because that's a lot of housing.
Yeah,
right.
It is.
So how do you disperse that? Where are you going to do it without being disruptive?
And especially in smaller cities, you just don't have the real estate available, right?
No,
I mean,
exactly.
You have a finite amount of land,
right?
And however many hundreds or thousands of units are being required,
right?
It's going to be a challenge. Yeah.
I also want to go back to the fact of I'm not a NIMBY.
Right.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't have density that is a natural growth of a city.
Right.
For example, there would have been ways of doing, like there's a major boulevard that is within half a mile of me, right? That's where the public transit is. Why not, instead of saying you're, only allowed 2-story apartment buildings there, why not have gone to 3 or 4-story apartment buildings there? Why not incentivize those property owners?
Yes.
Right? So that they're either doing that and becoming developers, or they're able to sell their land, still be a win-win, make their profit, and account for lost revenue as well as property tax displacement somewhere else, perhaps, and still come up with a way of making this a win-win, providing more affordable housing where it belongs,
right,
and do it in a way that doesn't rip through a 1-story suburban single-family neighborhood that has beautiful, mature, trees
Yeah,
and like,
exactly.
you know, Americana basically
Well,
happening.
I mean, and I think part of it is just, I don't want to say common sense, but it depends on the size of the lot too, right? I mean, so in some cases, a major boulevard still has relatively small parcels along that boulevard. And so
Right.
if your parcel's only 150 feet deep or whatever, like it doesn't make sense to put a 7-story building on a little 50 by 150 lot. And so
Sure
it's
doesn't.
like, how do you physically make those dimensions work? So I think to some degree there will be some self filtering happening, right? Where like you just, without a developer, which they could do, come in and buy up a number of lots and combining them to then make the 7-story thing make sense. But when we're dealing with just the existing lot sizes, that's going to take more time, right? For a developer to be able to combine lots and get a bigger parcel that can warrant that scale of a podium with the structure.
Which is where empowering homeowners comes into play. So, you know, my recourse as someone who lives in one of these areas, or anyone else who lives in another area, I mean, the very first things I might do is start protecting myself and my neighbors. Yes. So think ahead. What's going to happen is a natural, in theory, what is a natural step that's next? The developer is going to start knocking on some doors, hanging out, exactly. See if there's a deal that can be struck. And in theory, upzoning is usually really good for homeowners.
Right.
In theory, upzoning that is based on scarcity is one where you
have the control.
You have the control. Your land actually just became more valuable, inherently more valuable, because it can support more housing.
Right.
And it's valuable to somebody. It may not be valuable to you in the now.
Right.
But if you sell it, you just made more money because it can support more housing.
Exactly.
And the developer can put more housing on that.
Exactly.
And make more money to provide more
More
housing.
housing.
It's a wonderful little cycle of life. But when the scarcity is also removed,
right,
and there is uncertainty in the approval process, the value is not as retained and defined as clearly in the land, which makes things muddy and scary for people that have homes in these areas.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I'm thinking of older couples or whoever, right? It's like you're on a fixed income. You don't know what to do. You don't want to be stuck in a place where you're like, I can't sell because I can't buy something else, but I don't want to, that angst.
And if you've been there for 30 years or 40 years, the amount of equity that you've built up in that home is immense. It is actually your life savings wrapped up in the house. So
and your property taxes and oh my gosh, there's so many layers to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that the mortgage is very low and you got the property taxes that are low, all of this makes for affordable housing. Right? Am I right?
Right.
For some of us, that's affordable housing.
For them, exactly. Yep.
So that said, the fact of what has happened in terms of this law being passed, the disruptor that it could be, and how to plan for it, how to prepare for it. I would say that, my first step would be to go to a real estate attorney. Yeah. And see if I can galvanize with my neighbors. Yeah. And come up with a way of creating an LLC amongst 8 or 9 or 10 of us. Yeah. Right? Say we can assemble more than an acre of land. That is one way of doing this. So you have 3 options. You can either sell your house now,
just
and who knows what we're going to get for that.
What you can get, right?
Or you can loop up togetger again with I'm not a real estate attorney, but in theory, I'm thinking this would be a
plausible,
way forward to group up our land so that if a developer comes and wants to buy one little parcel, it's really looking at all of it, and that might be actually very attractive to some developers.
Exactly, because if you've already made friends with your neighbors and you already have this kind of vision in place, it might not be entitled quite yet, but you're on that. You're already on the road to that. Yeah, for sure. That's a valuable asset for a developer. Yeah.
So then that power that a homeowner now holds is very gratifying because you're no longer a victim.
Correct.
You are now in control of your future.
and potentially getting more than market rate, or you're able
Correct.
to come up with some other, there's definitely power handed back to you for sure.
Absolutely. So in the light of empowerment, there's a level 3 and a 4. So level 3 is kind of my favorite, and that's where you would work with an architect team. And obviously it's my favorite because I'm an architect and a homeowner, so I can envision this. I would be able to, for example, envision with the homeowner group, all right, how many units can we get on here? How do I prove that if I'm 120, let's go for 120 units on an acre, which is what SB79 is really intended to be. So
we're not talking 20, 30 units here.
Without parking. Again, without parking. And so, put aside the fact that the no parking for 120 units is already ridiculous.
Is crazy, depending on where you are, but yes, for the most part, yes.
Depending on where you are, exactly. But in most of these areas, it doesn't make sense because we still don't have the infrastructure of transit to justify that, as well as the lifestyle component.
Right, exactly.
But let's say for just a second,
for argument's
sake,
sake,
So if you're able to prove that 120 units, let's say, works on an acre or a little bit more than an acre, you've just built even more value in your land. And if you do that with your neighbors, you protect, again, you protect your investment, you protect your equity, and you're empowered.
And now you sell when you want to.
To have that as leverage in negotiating with a developer. I don't want to give numbers, but I'm like, a ballpark range, like if you've got something that's, let's say you've added several $100,000 to your home value, right? Instead of losing value, instead of having equity that is in danger, you've actually added value with the ability to perhaps factor in some future increase in housing that you're going to be up against. So you're protected for the next move.
Right, exactly. You have that a little extra profit cushion, whatever you want to call it.
Just for the fact that it's a pain in the ass.
It is a pain.
Law that is, to be very, very blunt, it's shoved down people's throats.
Right, exactly. And then that way, you're hopefully making it worth your while, as opposed, like, you don't want to, again, no investor. I mean, I obviously don't want homeowners looking at their home like an investment. It is an investment. But it's your home. I mean, that's where you raise your kids. It's where you feed your dog. You can go for walks every day. Like that, so it has more value than just the monetary value. But to be able to make a profit on that now makes that emotional side of it a little less painful, right?
A little bit. And especially if you're able to have that be congruent with your investment growth and investment goals, it is much more palatable.
As opposed to taking a loss, right, which was the inverse of what you were just describing.
Exactly.
Like that is just, now it's like, it's the double-edged sword of you're not only getting kicked out of your home, but now you're selling it at a loss. Like that's not.
Well, level 4, level 4 would be something that I don't see happening very often, but the choice is there.
It's possible.
Level 4 is that you actually group up as neighbors and you hire your own you are the developer.
Become the developer.
You then hire your own builder and you develop this thing and you become a property owner and a landlord and be able to rent out some of this and
or
have some,
or it's condos and you sell all of it and then now you've gotten hopefully millions in equity or profit coming off of it.
It's possible, but it is also daunting.
Oh, for sure.
The cost of this is going to be in the tens of millions of dollars. So to do that, you need to come together with a real estate attorney, come together with maybe a little development like mentor so that you can figure out your pro forma, come together with the right architectural team and your right professionals. There's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now,
taking
a deep breath and going towards the checks and balances that we see and all of the issues that you were just talking about off camera.
I mean, it's just, it's scary. So I think the main thing that freaked me out about the 79 is that, well, what if the infrastructure is not in place for this, right?
Which it isn't.
And it's not. And so, like we were talking about in previous episodes, right? I mean, we saw it in the wildfires. There wasn't enough water. We've seen it, I mean, time and time again, where the power brownouts, blackouts, they happen all the time here in Southern California. and like the grid is not up to where it needs to be to accommodate this. So all of a sudden you're introducing a 7-story, 200 unit complex, and you think that magically the grid is just gonna like accept that many units? It's insanity.
I'm gonna interject something.
Yeah.
Not to mention that a 7 or 9-story apartment building right next to a 1-story home who has solar panels and relies on those solar panels now is going to be in permanent shade forever.
Yep.
And it's like, how
Yeah.
are you allowing? You're saying you want to get electrification going in the state, and then you're
undoing it. You're undoing it right there. Yeah.
Okay, but to keep going with the infrastructure.
So AB 253 has a little bit of I don't know what going on in that well, I guess the first purpose of AB 253 is kind of giving planners and cities and jurisdictions some, I don't know what the word is, but
gray zones.
So a little bit of a gray zone that if you're smaller and you say you don't have the staff to do these reviews, the developer can go to a third party for their plan check and review process. In a lot of these cases, it's by right.
Correct.
So you don't have to go through the hurdles of an entitlement
and especially if the process has proven daunting and the city has not been able to do the plan check
to make it happen. Then so now I'm the planner, and I've got a developer who is going straight to the third party plan checker with a set of construction documents that have virtually
first of all, they cost $100,000,
hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get the documents.
Yes,
but it's never been even checked by anyone. So that's the part that was scaring me. So I mean, it's again like, where's the power coming from? Where's their sewer going? Where's the storm drain? Like all of this infrastructure.
Right now, it's a fairy tale.
It's imaginary.
Yeah.
But Mr. Again, not the seasoned developers, I feel like they wouldn't do this, but you're a rookie developer, you're trying to do something great and take advantage of these awesome, from your perspective, these awesome things. And so
you want to provide
housing. You want to provide housing,
right.
Your heart is in the right place, and now and say you've come up with this great design for 4 stories and it's gonna this and step back there and da-da-da, but like come to find out none of the infrastructure is in place to make it happen. And so you've already spent these hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I mean, so obviously the first step is even though you're not required to go through entitlement, you have to get a pre-application meeting or something in place. You're going to have to hire some engineers and to do some minimal traffic studies and that kind of investment to protect yourself. And so a little extra investment in that upfront side to prove that you have the infrastructure in place is going to go a long, long way.
Absolutely. Get that pre-app review going immediately.
Yeah.
And get the by right letter from the utilities.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So that the will serve and the exactly. The will serve, because I mean, you again, as we've talked about in previous things, Southern California Edison, PG&E, the different, power companies, it's a process to get through them.
Right.
And so the last thing you want to do is propose something and then find out at the 11th hour that really you need to trench, hundreds of yards down a major boulevard to get to a place where you can get power. And I mean, because that could make or break your project.
Yeah. So
that's thousands and thousands of
major
dollars.
Things like that. Or if you have a third party, so let's say you wanted to save time, and you hired that third party plan checker who, on the developer side, is accelerating things.
Absolutely.
They are doing their plan check. They're basically
making it happen.
But their main thing is that they're going to now be held accountable to figure out whether or not the infrastructure of the city, in theory, can support the project.
Right.
And first of all, the third-party plan checker does not have all of the ins and outs and knowledge of the city that the city officials themselves do.
I mean, they're by nature, by their namesake, they are a third party. So they might represent multiple jurisdictions. They might have, they're going to have some knowledge, obviously, but they're not going to know the nuances of like which street is already has planned improvements, what's going on from the guy in the desk next door in Public Works. Yeah.
But for argument's sake, let's say the third party plan checker did their job so
well
that they just found out that your 120 unit apartment building cannot be supported by the existing infrastructure.
Yep.
Now what? I don't have enough water. I
Or
don't have
whatever,
enough
yeah.
sewer
Yeah.
capacity. I don't have enough electrical load.
Yeah.
Right. That is going to be supplied by the plant or by the
Yeah.
existing infrastructure around them.
Yeah.
So that's what you were just talking
Yeah.
about.
So I mean, the recourse
Get
is
your
your
will serve letter.
get your will
early.
served, exactly, because at that point it's almost too late. I mean, you've already sunk hundreds of thousands of dollars into engineering
Right.
and architecture and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so you could redesign, right? You could scale the project back.
Right.
You could invest more and upgrade public services
Right.
in your area, right? I mean, I don't know where the nearest substation is or the nearest, the connection to the next level of water service. You might be upgrading, water lines in the main boulevard.
It might be part of the deal.
It might be part of the deal.
That you have
And
to
so-
work with the city to
and
get
again,
infrastructure improved.
And
Right.
and that comes with the territory to some degree, right? There's
Right.
plenty of developers.
As long as it's part of the formula.
Exactly.
Right.
And so we've worked with plenty of developers who are fully used to inputting, this
Right.
type of infrastructure. Again, if you're talking about a raw land deal, right? There's nothing there. There's no roads. There's no
Right.
nothing. So
Yeah.
there are developers who are familiar with that process of putting in infrastructure and putting in the utilities. So it could definitely pencil. It's plausible.
It is.
It just has to be, again, it's
Not a surprise.
It's not a surprise, and the scale of the project. It has to be enough units to
Right.
make it worthwhile, right? If we're talking about one of these little 10-unit ones under 1123, that's not going to be the project that warrants a full gutting of the boulevard to get the mains
Right.
upgraded.
But as we were talking about, so the state's been doing all of this, right? With
Yeah.
SB79, with this particular law, AB
253.
253. I'm getting my ABCs.
I know, blah blah. Yeah.
But with that said, these are there to. The goal is to remove barriers from
Right.
housing and make housing more abundant
yeah.
and more affordable.
And fast track it.
And fast track it. However, the beauty of it is that AB 253 is the checks and balance on SB 79. So
yeah,
it
to
is
some
the
degree.
balance.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
It is the counterbalance. As much as we can tell right now, I know things are in evolution and there's going to be like nuances to this that are going to actually lay out. They're going to play out in the next few months. So we may be revisiting this.
Absolutely.
But so far as we can tell, it is a check and balance.
Yeah.
And that's good.
And I think what will happen is certain neighborhoods, it's going to come to light, right? That this neighborhood, for example, does have a great, maybe that sewer system is super amazing. And it was, they did plan for
The
growth.
rain actually can
Yeah,
go
and
somewhere.
when they planned that street,
Storm drain,
they did the storm drain. They had oversized that storm drain because they were planning for growth, right? And so there are going to be those instances where certain areas, wow, it does have the capacity to take on. And so I feel like that's where we're going to see, oh, okay, now this part of this neighborhood is going to be the part where it has the lots that already have the infrastructure in place, and it's going to be easier to upgrade, or it's going to be easier to do things. And so it'll start being like a little magnet for the developers to be like, okay, well, we're not going to do this everywhere down whatever, 17th Street or something, but we're going to do it, it'll be, we'll find
more
pockets, right?
pockets.
Of where, okay, this is where, Edison and the water service overlap in such a way that we've got plenty of capacity. And so that's the you know what I mean? And so I think it'll evolve, and as these studies start coming to light and random developers start poking and prodding and looking at vacant land or looking at potential parcels, it'll start revealing itself of where it makes sense.
And you and I were talking about this off camera, which was that it's better to start with smaller developments, because the beauty of a smaller development as you go into it versus these
ginormous things,
gigantic developments, one after another, which might they might come really hard and heavy at us in the coming years.
Yeah.
But to go with a small little
10-unit pocket here and there.
You test out what's working and what's not working in your jurisdiction.
Yeah.
You test out the process. You test out,
The
whether you're
aesthetic.
the developer or a
Yeah.
planner, or even like, homeowners. I would love for homeowners
Yeah.
to pay attention to what's happening,
Exactly.
which is part of the reason for this podcast. But in terms of empowering everybody to make a better environment and a better, we all know that there's a housing crisis. I get it.
Yeah.
And, in some cases it's overpopulation issue.
Yeah,
But
and like
some-
you're saying,
yeah.
in a lot of cases, it's just affordability.
Exactly.
There's nothing affordable.
Right.
So yeah, no, I agree. I think the key is going to be, kind of a little bit of trial and error, right? So these smaller projects, if it doesn't go quite as you wanted it, it might not have the exact look that you would have loved, but it made 10 units. It gave, it provided something for the neighborhood, and then now everyone around is able to learn from that and grow and
do better
and
for the second
implement
one.
better, as opposed to the 300 unit project. If that's a failure, it hurts everyone, and
Correct.
the ripples are way
Enormous.
farther reaching than just a smaller failure of a smaller 10 unit project.
Right.
If it's not as ideal, it still can be absorbed into some of these neighborhoods in a more
Yeah.
natural way.
So that was a lot for this episode.
Yes.
I thank you for joining us.
Yes.
It's one of those where it is very personal and it hits very close to home.
Yeah.
And there's going to be more that we unpack in the coming episodes.
Yes.
And we'll just stay tuned as to how this is really being received in different counties and cities.
Yes.
Considering there are 8 counties for which SB79 is being mandated
Applied. Yeah.
in this version.
Right.
And yes, the cities have a little bit of leeway. So let's see. Let's see
Yeah.
what happens and stay tuned.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode. Katie and I hope you found it insightful, empowering, and maybe even a little inspiring. We're so grateful to share this space with you. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. There's more to come as we continue architecting bold ideas, even in the face of challenges.